Saqib Uddin in the final press conference of Amir Khan with Samuel Vargas. With me, I have trainer of Amir Khan, Joe Goosen. How you doing, Joe?
Perfect.
Well, Joe,
thank you.
You've had your first full training camp with Amir at your gym in America. How's that been? How's your preparation been ahead of Saturday night?
Well, you know, anytime you get dedicated fighters like Amir Khan, and I lay out the program that I lay out for world-class fighters like himself. He attacked it like a veteran that he is, and I laid a lot of work in front of him. And he really was up to the challenge. He anything I put in front of him, he basically conquered, and his performance all the way through camp was really exceptional. I'm very confident in Saturday night. If these guys, you know, like I said, you know, these guys were negligent and not training like they should. You know, shame on them. But I told Amir, I said, it's very doubtful that these guys are going to cut any corners. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for them. But that being said, I don't believe he's in our league in terms of athleticism, in terms of quality opponents, in terms of accomplishments. So, you know, that being said, you know, I never get overconfident about anything because anything can happen in the ring. But I like my racehorse in this race. That's all there is to it. I think Amir Khan is one exceptional athlete that doesn't come around very often, and I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to prepare him for this fight, which I believe we're going to win.
Well, Amir's facing an opponent, Samuel Vargas, that has been defeated 3 times in 29 fights, but has been defeated by the likes of Errol Spence and Danny Garcia.
Right.
But how do you view Samuel Vargas as an opponent? Why do you feel he's the right man for Amir Khan on Saturday night?
Well, how do I view him as an opponent, and what type of threat does he pose? Well, look, I mean, again, as I stated earlier, he hired his old trainer back. Amir's got a new trainer. You know, whenever you get an opportunity like this, if you're not negligent, you're going to do as much as you can to make sure your guy wins. And I'm sure that's what they were doing on their side. That's what we were doing on my side. But then I compare the two talents, and yeah, they have one common opponent basically, and that's Danny Garcia. Now, my guy, Amir Khan, was really doing an outstanding job against Danny Garcia before he made a defensive mistake, something that we've addressed and hopefully cured. I don't see how it couldn't be cured pretty, you know, to the comparatively speaking, because we drilled and drilled and drilled the hands up, chin down, and various other assorted defensive drills. Now, that being said, Amir was doing quite well against Danny Garcia until he made a mistake. Conversely, Samuel Vargas was never in the fight against Danny Garcia, and it was I think a one-sided fight for Garcia until he finally stopped Vargas. Now, did Vargas train as hard as he did for that fight as he is for this fight? Well, I don't know why he wouldn't train for hard against the Danny Garcia. I'm assuming he did. Now, if he trained 10% better for this fight, I don't think that's enough for him to overshadow the talent of Amir Khan. Because whatever he thought Amir Khan was before, Amir Khan is many percentage points higher than he was before, based on what we have done in comparison to past fights.
Objectives this time around, getting the rounds and essentially let the ring rust out before he faces the big names in the division.
So what you're asking is the La Greco fight came and went so quickly. Did he get in any? He didn't get in the rounds, or he asked me if I wish he had gotten in some rounds that may have.
His objective this time around.
Yeah. Well, listen. You're not going to argue with a first-round knockout. I mean, you could say, "Oh, I wish he got in 7 rounds," and then you could have had a knuckle injury, you could have had a cut, you could have still won, but suffered some sort of injury along the way, or not. I'm never going to turn down the fact that, or argue against the fact that we had we hit a home run in the first round. You know, if that happens, then you know what, take that and go on to your next one. And if you get rounds in your next one, then you get rounds in your next one. But also, if you were to have 2 quick knockouts and you didn't get a lot of rounds in, I'm not even going to argue with that. Why? Because that just means that you're probably hitting harder than you've hit in the past, and that your power is now coming through as you're, you know, he's a mature guy now at 31. And by the way, we did work on his power and have worked on his power. That was no fluke with Le Greco. Le Greco sparred 160 rounds. He went the distance with Sean Porter, who was the welterweight champion at one particular point. He took a short notice fight against Porter and still went 10 rounds with him. He went 4 rounds, I believe, with Errol Spence on a 3-day notice, something very short notice. Now, did he make a great account of himself against Errol Spence? No, but not a lot of people have anyway. Now, he had a 12-week camp, according to he and Fernando Vargas, who was a superlative world champion. I got to believe them and take them at their word. I knew people that were up there in sparring with Le Greco, and they said he was just a monster. He came in, if you saw him, he looked really good on the scales. Look, he said he fought Sean Porter and Errol Spence, and he felt the way. He goes, nobody hit me harder than Amir Khan. So maybe that power work we've been doing is paying off, and maybe he starts knocking guys out a little bit earlier than before. I don't know. We'll find out Saturday night. But if we don't, we're prepared to go a fast-paced 12 rounds, whether it's a dogfight or it's a lopsided situation. We're ready for any scenario that comes our way.
Well, you just mentioned that you've been working on Amir Khan's power, which certainly paid off in the Phil Le Greco fight. So what have you been working on in the gym to get the best out of Amir Khan's punch power for fights?
Well, you do what, you know, you do what you've done, what I've done over the course of my career. You know, I've had a few guys that were not considered power punchers that eventually, you know, as their career goes onward, they learn how to punch. You learn how to hurt guys. Sometimes you're not entirely aware of when you actually do hurt a guy. You know, I might see it from the corner and the fighter isn't seeing it, you know. But you do learn how to hurt guys by virtue of experience, but also by drills that you work on in the gym, you know, over the course of time. So, I mean, I could explain to you what some of the technique is, but that would be a little boring. But the bottom line is we do work on that, and that's a lot more heavy bag work. You know, I mean, the mitts are great, and they have a place in the gym. But for me, I'm kind of old school. All the great big punchers were heavy bag. They work their heavy bag, and they work the body cushion. It's something you hold and you lay up, and I'm 200 pounds. So when he's hitting that, he's hitting 200 pounds of a moving target, not just hands, which are negligible in weight. So, and there are other drills as well. You can go on and on with them, but if the two that are the mainstays are the heavy bag and the body cushion. Of course, you do your double end bag, your speed bag work, your weave bag, your shadow boxing. Then, you know, your drills in front of the mirror where you're looking at where your hand placement is over and over again. So it becomes, rote after a while.
But there has been some career-defining fights being mentioned for Amir with the likes of Kell, Brook and Manny Pacquiao. I know you don't want to look past Samuel Vargas. How do you view them as potential opponents down the line for Amir?
No, you're right. I don't look past Samuel Vargas. I haven't given them a second of thought unless somebody asks me about them. And I kind of give the same answer. You know, I leave it to Eddie Hearn. I leave it to Shah Khan, his father. And when they want my input, they'll definitely ask me about it. But I did say after the Le Greco fight, when somebody in passing asked me, who I'd like him to see, who I'd like to see Amir fight, I did happen to say Manny Pacquiao, because he's a legend. He's rejuvenated. He just blew Matisse out of the water entirely. I think sometimes the switch from trainers after all those years, you can get stale with the fighters. Happened to me before. And that new blood, that new look, that new voice, if they're competent and capable, can actually extend your career a little bit, and I think that really showed in the Pacquiao fight. I think he looked like he's got a little second win, a little new lease on life. He looked tremendous. I thought he had bounce to his step. I thought his speed looked good. He was calculating. He was accurate, and he looked fresh, and his body looked good. Yeah, at 40. Yeah.
Well, Amir's worked with some of the best trainers in the world, with the likes of Freddie Roach, Virgil Hunter, and Jorge Rubio. But what makes you stand out from the rest? What makes you stand out from the rest?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea. I really concern myself with myself, and then I think, like Freddie, Virgil, and alike, they have a pattern they follow. They have a schematic, a blueprint that they probably go by, as I do, and each in their own right have been successful with it. So I don't know what their blueprint is or his schematic, but I know what mine is, and it works the majority of the time, not always. But now, am I capable of veering from that, strict dogma of what I do? Yeah, of course. Because sometimes you have to be flexible, and you have to do what really works for the fighter. Now, there are certain basic fundamental things that are always going to be part of my repertoire. But on the other hand, you have to be able to adapt for each individual's personality, style, capabilities.
Well, finally, Joe, for people that are watching from home or from the Birmingham Arena, what can people expect from Amir Khan on Saturday night?
Well, I mean, what you can expect from him is what I think anybody that knows Amir would expect from him, and then some. Okay, so Amir Khan has always been exciting. Amir Khan has always been a crowd pleaser. He's always been a winner, 96% of the time. He's always been brave. So now, that being said, I'm going to add a couple of things to it. I want him to also be acutely aware of his defense. I want him to be completely accurate. I don't want him to waste punches. I want him to think. Again, not overthink anything, but I want him to think in the sense where he's quick, but he doesn't rush. So when I say think, I don't mean like he's actually breaking things down in his mind, because then it can be too late. But we did a lot of thinking in sparring, we did a lot of thinking before, we did a lot of planning. So when I say think, I want him to basically naturally be aware of all the things we worked on that will keep him safe, but yet devastating in this fight.
Joe, absolute pleasure. Joe Goosen,
Thank you so
Fight
much.
TV.
Yeah.